McGonigal is acknowledged as one of America's top experts in leftist communist false flag tactics and spying operations, and whose expertise has led him to capture the Chinese CIA double agent spy Jerry Chun Shin Lee, who caused the deaths of at least 20 CIA undercover operatives, spurned FBI Director Christopher Wray to warn that China is using its students and professors at U.S. colleges to spy on America, and the FBI to produce its stunning film documentary, Game of Pawns, the Glenn Duffy Shriver story, that shows how American college students are recruited to spy for China and betray their own country. With the false flag narrative in full swing and attacks being a favorite target for distraction, tactics long used by radical communist socialists to achieve political goals, the FBI, as well as other state intelligence agencies, have long documented their use by former Venezuelan spy General Torres as he aided the late President Hugo Chávez's ascent to power, but whose leadership of the Bolivarian National Intelligence Service came to a crushing halt this past March after President Maduro ordered his arrest, and was due to General Torres's treatment of believed to be main CIA station chief Joshua Halt, whom Maduro had no choice to release unless he wanted President Trump to invade Venezuela and do it by force. Yes, you heard that correctly, ladies and gentlemen. In striking back against President Maduro for buckling under to President Trump, General Torres masterminded the early August 2018 false flag drone attack that made Maduro look like a helpless baby child before all of the peoples of Venezuela, and that kept Maduro from being able to move against the training centers that Torres had established to train the American college students known as Antifa leftist radicals. Of course, not being understood by the masses of the American people about the use of false flag tactics by radical communists is that they aren't intended to hurt anyone but to provoke a response from the government that, in turn, these leftists believe will cause ordinary people and citizens to rally to them as they begin overthrowing whatever political power structure they've designed for elimination. That is why the Venezuelan mastermind of the false flag caravan pushing towards the United States border, containing tens of thousands of socialist communist supporters masquerading as refugees, thus causing President Trump to declare that he is now bringing out the military to protect his nation's borders, and that the leftist Align News Network is now screaming will cause the deaths of these illegal migrants as U.S. military forces begin gunning them down. Well, that's actually not correct at all. Like this false flag, illegal migrants and caravans making its way towards the U.S. southern border too continues explaining that the leftist bomb hoax currently unfolding in America is a long-used communist tactic of distraction. And one thing to note, folks, there are no stamps on the actual stamps of the pictures of these so-called packages. Therefore, they were never mailed. Show us one that has a stamp on the stamps saying that they were actually delivered by the U.S. Postal Service. Currently, President Trump's loyal media forces are exposing the truth that these hoaxes could have never been detonated, as well as other experts noting it would take not just an idiot, but an idiot of monumental proportions to think that he could literally mail a pipe in an envelope to Obama without the package being intercepted along the way, especially by Secret Service. Not only that, but the bombs were specifically sent to Democrats only, who, aside from Waters, are no longer in the government. They have no actual political power. Interesting. As in all false flags, events of this kind staged by leftists, the deep state-aligned mainstream propaganda media in the United States immediately began blaming President Trump and his supporters for this so-called hoax by flooding social media with the hashtag MAGA meme, and who were quickly joined by Hollywood elitists likewise blaming President Trump and his supporters for this hoax as well. That caused President Trump to plead with these media leftists to stop their hostility before someone gets hurt. You see, ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, there's a lot of people that will see one thing very quickly, even though eventually they will redact their story, just like the mainstream media does, but they'll do it maybe 2 or 3 days later. But by that time, people have already seen the actual first story, and they believe every bit of it. President Trump asked the Americans to come together and send one very clear, strong, unmistakable message that acts or threats of political violence of any kind have no place in the United States, yet you choose to attack and divide anyway, correct? Important to understand as to why the leftist media rebuffed President Trump in his plea of peace is the long-known fact that communists never accommodate those they perceive are standing in their way of power. They totally and ruthlessly destroy them, such as NBC Television's host Megyn Kelly, who questioned why white children trick-or-treating on Halloween couldn't wear blackface makeup portraying famous African-American heroes. When then descended upon leftist mobs demanding her apology, gave the leftist mobs the tearful apology they demanded. But that wasn't accepted, and this saw Hollywood elitists canceling her appearance on a popular television program, her Hollywood talent agency firing her as a client, and then NBC throwing her off the air completely, all of which occurred in less than 48 hours. Hopefully, if the masses of American citizens that may be ignorant about communists will awaken to the full horror of what their leftist media and Democratic Party are doing to them with these false flag hoaxes and migrant caravan attacks, this remains to be seen. But that cannot be said about America's corporate banking and financial elites, who know full well the danger their nation is facing as they watch the homeless crisis exploding in the Democratic strongholds occupying both the east and west coasts of the United States, neither of which any American company will dare enter into, as they know they'd be quickly taxed and regulated into extinction, and who, at the moment notices, can be quickly assembled into leftist mobs and unleash upon the rest of the U.S. to destroy and plunder it at will. The battle is on, and President Trump is our leader, ladies and gentlemen. Vote red in November of 2018.